All right, 24.2 is here, and it is not what I thought it was going to be, unfortunately, but maybe it's good for all of us. So 24.2 is a 20-minute AMRAP. You will row 300 meters, then you'll do 10 deadlifts, and then you'll do 50 double unders. That row is the same for men and women. For men, RX weight on the deadlifts is 185. For women, it is 125. For going scaled, it is 135.95, and you'll have single unders. If you're in Masters, Masters RX will be that same 135.95, and then scaled Masters will be 95.65. Anytime we're scaled, we'll be doing singles instead of doubles. So let's go into how to prepare for this workout. Our warm-up, definitely get the heart rate up. It is a long 20 minutes. That means you have to prep yourself accordingly. Be prepared to put your body through something like that. Don't go crazy, don't tire yourself out, but get your body warm, get the blood flowing, especially through the legs and the low back. Once again, we're hinging quite a bit in that deadlift. So make sure your hamstrings, your glutes, low back is warm, as well as your calves and your shoulders, and maybe even your biceps. I know some of us, our biceps get blown up on the rower because our rowing technique isn't perfect, but make sure we're warm. All right, if anything begins to fatigue more than everything else, it's all you're gonna feel for the next 20 minutes, all right? So if your biceps start going out on the rower, you're just gonna get a bicep workout and you're just gonna row really slowly, all right? The other thing we have to worry about is our grip. We're pulling, and then we're spinning. So your wrists are gonna go through it for 20 minutes. Be prepared, stretch them out, do our wrist circles, get them ready for what you're putting yourself through in this workout. A few notes for this workout, all right? We're gonna start on the rower. Our hands will not be touching the handles. Every time you row, you must reset the screen. You can have your judge do it for you, but it has to reset, especially if you're filming it. If you're not filming it, not so much, but the reset is so the computer resets every time, starts counting a new 300 meters. You cannot wear your gymnastics grips. So if you plan on doing that, don't, because it's unfair on the deadlifts. Even on the row, it's a little unfair. You don't want them. Let's make our hands tough. Keep them that way. The other thing, it's an AMRAP, so you're wondering how much is the row worth? Is it only worth one? Then I'll just stop at 18 minutes because I'm not going to finish. No, each 10-meter increment is worth 1 rep on the rower, okay? So row as hard as you possibly can until the 20-minute mark, because your score is when the rower stops computing. So row until the 20-minute mark, and then once the screen goes that little dimmer shade, that's when you can record that score. So every stroke you take until that 20-minute mark counts towards your score. All right. The other thing we have to worry about is reaching extension, not hyperextension, and not flexion on our deadlifts. All right. Our knees, hips, shoulders should all be in the line, and our shoulders should definitely be behind that bar. If we're like this at the top of our deadlift, guess what? We're not at the top of our deadlift, all right? Stand it up, push the hips through. We don't have to be back here. This is bad too, but we should be in this final lockdown position. The other thing of note, don't bounce our deadlifts, all right? It's a deadlift. It's not whatever you want to call a bounced deadlift, all right? A little bit of strategy. Please do not sprint. Everyone who was very close to the time cap last week, you all learned this lesson. If you sprint at the beginning, you will suffer for the rest of the workout. Please don't suffer for 20 minutes. Pace yourself through 20 minutes. That way in the last 4 minutes, you can push harder than you did at the beginning. You can increase your pace instead of suffering until the end, all right? If the weight or the double unders is gonna be an issue for you, take consistent breaks. If you're like, okay, the deadlift is something I'm gonna have to break up into the 3 sets every time, 4, 3, 3. Every single set, unless it's that last set and you're pushing for the end, all right? Always have consistent sets, always. Same thing on the double unders. I know sometimes double unders, it's like you just keep going until you fail, but if you make it 6 rounds in, that means you're doing 300 double unders. It's better to manage 300 double unders than to trip and suffer all the way through 300 double unders, all right? So if it's 35 and 15 or 30 and 20, anything is better than just failing whenever the rope chooses to hit your legs, okay? Have a plan, stick to it. Consistent row is another one. have an idea of what pace you can hold on that rower and try and stick to it the entire time, all right? It's hard to know what that pace is because we're all at different skill levels on the rower, okay? But it should be something that's a little bit aggressive, but you feel very in control as well, okay? The other thing with the row, please, this is not where you take consistent breaks. You take consistent breaks on the deadlift and on the jump rope. You don't stop on the rower and sit there and breathe with the chain in slack. Please don't do that. Always keep the chain moving, always keep rowing. Even if you're rowing at 22 strokes a minute, it's better than not rowing at all, okay? Final thing, quick transitions. We're gonna have a floor plan laid out so everyone's gonna be laid out the exact same way, but don't take that much time to go from the rower to your deadlift. Stand up, take a breath, walk to your bar, take a breath, pick it up, and start your reps. All right, the longer you stand doing nothing is the less reps that you're getting for the leaderboard. All right, that same thing goes for the double unders. If you're done with your deadlifts, move to your jump rope, take a couple breaths, and begin. If you're at a point where you're completely out of breath, it means we're doing this instead of pacing. All right, you should feel in control until that last 4 or 5 minutes where you start pushing. All right, I guarantee you, you will get more reps doing that than if you go out balls to the wall and you're suffering for 15 minutes. Okay. Last thing, if you trip on double unders, I know it can be exhausting and demoralizing. So gather yourself, pick it up, try again. All right, just keep getting reps. It's gonna be a long 20 minutes. Do your best, look to those around you. You're all suffering together. Pace it appropriately, you'll be perfectly fine. All right, warm up properly, you'll be solid. All right, that's all I got for 24.2. Warm up properly, pace yourself, and have fun. It's gonna be a good long 20 minutes. See you guys in the gym.